Welcome to the channel. Today we're doing a scary video called Kids Who Kill. Okay, I should get this lighting proper. Yeah, this is actually not a funny video at all. This video is actual kids who kill. Wait, I just press. Okay, actual kids who actually kill. They actually kill their parents, which makes no sense. And this is why maybe sometimes, smack your kids should be allowed, because, of course, these kids got way out of hand. Like, honestly, how the frick do you do this? Of course, last time I made a different video, way different from this one, but I forgot to put my sound on. So let's... Okay, yeah, it's on.
Top 5 most horrifying killer kids. Murder is the last thing you'd expect a child to do. But just like adults, there are kids damaged beyond repair as a result of circumstances beyond their control. Sometimes they're even just broken from the start. The next 5 children looked ordinary from the outside, but on the inside there was something sinister lurking. Here are the top 5 most horrifying killer kids. Number 5, Eric Smith. At
13, I'm freaking 13.
13 years old, Eric Smith had thick aviator glasses, tousled red hair, and freckles. He looked like your typical American teen, but there was something different about him. At a young age, Eric was prone to explosive anger and violence. As a toddler, he would throw tantrums and bang his head on the floor for no reason. Later on, psychiatrists would diagnose him with intermittent explosive disorder, a mental problem causing sufferers to be violent and unpredictable.
Oh, he had a mental disorder.
Add to the fact that Eric was often bullied at school, and the boy became a ticking time bomb. On August 2nd, 1983, the bomb exploded. Summer camp had started, and 4-year-old Derek Robbie was walking to the park where the camp was held. It was only 2 blocks away
But if he had this disorder, why didn't they just control it?
from his home with no streets to cross. Eric chanced upon Derek walking alone, and he lured him into the nearby woods, explaining there was a shortcut. Without warning, Eric began strangling the little boy until he fell to the ground unconscious. He then proceeded to pick up 2 large rocks, one after the other, and slam them into his head, resulting in the death of young Derek. Eric proceeded to undress the boy and sodomize him with a tree branch. He rifled through his lunch bag, smashed a banana, and dumped red Kool-Aid over his mutilated face. By 11 a.m., Derek's mother, Doreen, arrived at the park to pick up her son, but was told he didn't arrive. Shortly after, a search operation was underway, and Derek's body was found. 4 days after this, Eric Smith walked into the police station and offered his help with the case. He gave information and asked...
Okay, I think the first thing, if you knew how to do all of that, if you're watching this and you are a parent, do not let your kids watch scenes, like, those movie scenes. I watch, like, a lot of those, because my mother liked watching those, like how the murderer thinks and how he kills. So I actually fully understand what's going on.
Questions in a somewhat gleeful way. The investigator didn't think much more of it, as it seemed simply like a child who wanted to play cop. That is, until he mentioned seeing Derek from across the street in an open field, which placed him at the crime scene. Eric was also able to describe Derek's clothes, including the lunch bag he had in his hand that day. 7 days after the murder, Smith confessed to killing Derek. He received a maximum jail sentence of 9 years to life, with parole eligibility every 2 years after the first 9 years. He's been denied every parole hearing and remains incarcerated to this day.
Okay, honestly, those people that are, like, moving him, like, I don't know if they feel bad or if they feel not bad. Oh my god. This is bad. My brain is confused.
Number 4, Christopher Pittman. It was 2001, and at just 12 years old, Christopher Pittman was already getting into so much trouble that he decided to run away from home.
Wait, did they just say 12? He looks like at least 14 or 15.
When he was caught, he was placed in an institutional facility and given the antidepressant drug Paxil. He was then shuffled off to live with his grandparents, and with the new town and new home, there came
He seems happy, but you never know. You never know.
a new doctor too. The Paxil was working
Wait, how is why would he kill? Like, his life is
for Chris, but wasn't available, so his new doctor prescribed Zoloft instead. Zoloft is known to induce various side effects in children, including aggression, hallucinations, depression.
Okay, I think this one, they shouldn't have put him in jail because the idiot gave him this thing that gives him aggression,
and delusions. Soon after the switch, Christopher began experiencing severe side effects, including a burning sensation all over his body. It got so bad he required additional pain medication. After his grandparents complained that he still felt the side effects, oddly, his Zoloft dosage was increased from 100 milligrams each day to 200 milligrams. Christopher's behavior started becoming more erratic. He ended up choking a fellow student after an argument on the bus. Later, he disturbed the individual playing piano inside his church. That night, he got into a fight with his grandfather and received a spanking. Mad with rage, he marched inside his grandparents' bedroom, took out the shotgun which he had been taught to use, and shot both his grandparents.
Okay, this one, they disciplined him, but they taught him how to use a shotgun. Maybe when he turned 18 and he moves out of the house, then teach him how to use a shotgun.
Paper and candles, he then set the house on fire and took his grandparents' car, their guns, his dog, and $33 and left.
$33.
Eventually picked up by police later that night, he told them he had been kidnapped by a man who killed his grandparents. After intense questioning, he eventually confessed to his crimes and even added that his grandparents deserved what they got.
How the hell?
His trial centered on the controversial drug Zoloft and the effects it had on children. The doctor who doubled his dosage was never charged for any crime.
Why?
Currently, Christopher Pittman is still incarcerated and serving a 30-year to life sentence. Number 3. Joshua Phillips. It was November 3rd, 1998, and 8-year-old Maddie Clifton had disappeared. Police and volunteers searched dumpsters in the surrounding woods near her home, hoping to find some sort of clue for her whereabouts. What they didn't know was that Maddie was right across the street from her house the whole time.
All of this happened in the 90s, so maybe, we Gucci. We good now, so hopefully we are good now. And none of this stuff is happening.
Stuffed underneath a waterbed inside her friend and playmate, 14-year-old Joshua Phillips' bedroom. Josh had no history of violence. He claimed that one afternoon Maddie came over and invited him to play baseball. Maddie threw the ball, and he hit it, sending it back at her, accidentally hitting her in the eye, causing her to bleed. Panicked, Josh brought her inside his house. Josh's abusive father had a strict no visitors policy, and afraid of what his reaction would be if he found her inside, he dragged Maddie into his bedroom and proceeded to strangle her with a phone cord for...
Okay. Don't be too strict. Don't be not strict. You have to find the freaking middle.
15 minutes. Afterwards, he hit her with the baseball bat and then stabbed her 11
Okay, I don't understand these people. How are they nuts?
times. There was no evidence of sexual assault, but Maddie's body was found naked from the waist down. By the time his father had come home, Josh had stuffed Maddie's body underneath his waterbed mattress, and there it sat for several days decomposing. Police began the search party, and after days of turning up empty, they decided to call it off. 7 days after Maddie's disappearance, Josh's mom, Missy Phillips, was cleaning his bedroom when she noticed a wet spot on the floor and thought his waterbed was leaking. She lifted up the mattress to try and locate the leak, and that's when she discovered Maddie's body.
Oh my god, now that's... what the frick? How did he live?
In horror, she ran next door and called the police. Josh was arrested in school that day. He confessed to killing Maddie, explaining the fear of his abusive father's reaction as the motive for murdering the little girl. In 1999, Joshua Phillips was convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the eligibility for parole.
Life in prison. Imagine being life in prison at that age. Yo.
Number 2. Cindy and Shirley. 15-year-old Cindy Collier and 14-year-old Shirley Wolf had a history of abuse and brush-ins with the law. Cindy was abused her whole life and raped before she turned 10. By the time she was 15, her rap sheet included theft, burglary, drug abuse,
Yeah, this one makes a little bit more sense.
and assault. Shirley also had a similar disruptive past. Her own father, uncle, and paternal grandfather had sexually abused her from the time she was an infant. By the time she was 6, she ran away from home several times until eventually authorities took notice and her father was arrested for the abuse. After he was convicted, she was sent into various foster homes and detention centers. After meeting only 8 hours before at a bus stop, the girls bonded over their mutual life circumstances and decided they would run away together. They spent time hatching a plan, which involved killing a stranger, then stealing their car. Both girls dyed their hair as a feeble attempt at disguising themselves and went around Cindy's old neighborhood, Auburn Greens in California. They began knocking on doors, and while the majority didn't let them inside their home, finally, one elderly woman did. Anna Brackett, an 85-year-old with grandkids of her own, allowed them in. The girls asked to use the phone, and they chatted with the victim for about an hour. At some point, Anna answered a phone call from her son, who was en route to drive her off to a bingo game. Knowing they had little time, the girls attacked. Cindy grabbed a knife, tossed it to Shirley, who immediately began stabbing Brackett in the back over and over again. Anna begged for her life, but the girls kept going until she was dead. After the kill, the girls ransacked the place, looked for cash, and grabbed 2 keys from the counter. The keys they took were the wrong ones for the 1970 Dodge in the garage, and so the girls ran on foot near Highway 49.
These people make no sense. So instead of just stealing a freaking car, learning how to, steal the car. I'm not saying steal cars. I'm just saying instead of learning that these people did not have. They were like mentally something happened, but they weren't that smart. Like they could have did so much. Like they never have to kill someone, and they never even have to go into the house. They just need to steal a car. Like what the?
Oddly enough,
By the way, they did not need to steal cars. That was a mistake. Do not steal cars.
Carl Brackett, the son of the victim, saw the 2 girls while he was on his way to his mother's home. Once he got there, he discovered the grisly scene. Eyewitnesses eventually came forward, which led to the girls becoming suspects. Once confronted by police, Shirley immediately admitted to the crime, while Cindy didn't say anything. During interrogation, Cindy was confronted with Shirley's confession, and she began to laugh. She then said, "To honestly tell you the truth, we didn't feel any badness. Then after we did it, we wanted to do another one. We just wanted to kill someone, just for fun." Both girls were convicted of the crime, with Cindy serving the maximum of 9 years for a juvenile. She was then paroled in 1992 and has had no further run-ins with the law.
Why the frick they got Annabelle here?
As for Wolf, she was freed on June 30th, 1995, and has been arrested several times since for petty crimes. Number 1. Tyler Hadley. July 16th, 2011. Everyone at school could tell it was going to be a big party. 17-year-old Tyler Hadley from Port St. Lucie, Florida, kept telling his friends he'd be throwing a rager, but no one thought it would happen.
I think I know this one.
He'd been getting in trouble lately, and as a result, his parents were being extra strict with him. But Tyler had no intentions of letting his parents get in the way of his fun. Around 5 p.m., several hours before the party, Tyler popped some ecstasy, grabbed a hammer from the garage, and marched inside his family room where his mom, Mary Jo, was on the computer working. Tyler stood behind her, and as she turned to face him, he struck her on top of the head. Hearing her screams, Tyler's dad, Blake, came rushing into the room. When Blake asked why he was doing this, Tyler's only reply was, "Why the hell not?" He then bludgeoned his father to death, finished off his mother, and dragged their bodies to their bedroom, where he began piling clothes and furniture on top of them. He locked the bedroom door and cleaned for about 3 hours, just in time for his guests to arrive. By 11 p.m., the party was in full swing. Close to 60 kids were inside the house that night. They were playing beer pong, stubbing cigarettes everywhere, smashing bottles, and trashing the house. A few of them later...
Okay, I wonder if the people that actually throw these parties, like, if they were trashing house, that means it could have happened to their house. Like I wonder if the people in, like, a school, like, do they buy their own house or something? Are they just, like, super rich?
I recalled sitting down at the computer, taking turns playing songs on YouTube, and noticing a brown, sticky...
He could have, if he had a laptop, he could have just played games or something. He could have made a video, he could have did so many other things with his freaking life.
...substance, which they assumed to be coke or beer. Later on, it was found to be Mary Jo's blood, which Tyler had tried to get rid of using coffee granules. The party kept going while Tyler's behavior bobbed from panicky to gleeful. At some point, he told his best friend what happened, detailing how he killed his...
Imagine your best friend walking up to you saying, I killed a person. Like, what the frick? I would be scared as... No, not killed a person, he killed his parents. And just imagine how, oh my god.
Parents, even showing him a bloody footprint in the garage before ultimately revealing their...
He had a bike and shit. Why? He had water, he had... Oh no, I think they bought this for the party. Wait, how did they... Nah, that makes no sense. Oh, maybe they just had stuff, I have no idea. So he had a bike, there's 2 bikes, so yeah. His life seemed like it was okay. He had all of this. He had a garage, which means they had money, I think, in America. I'm not from America.
Bodies in the bedroom. By 4:40...
This is a very different cop car. And there's this guy, that guy, and then someone inside. And then there's just a family, you know, just watching the cops. You know, because that's normal.
40 a.m., the police arrived. His friend Michael Mandel had called Crime Stoppers to report the murder, and Tyler was arrested when the police discovered the horrifying sight. Tyler's explanations for the crime varied. First, he blamed medications he was taking.
For some reason, I can't whistle. I'm watching freaking thing and I'm saying, and I just realized I can't freaking whistle. I have problems.
Then said his father was not his real dad, and insinuated he was physically abusive. Neither of these were true. Finally, he admitted that it was because he wanted to throw a party, but knew his parents would object to it. Tyler Hadley was originally charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life with no chance of parole. But as of 2016, his case will be open for resentencing due...
Nah, he should stay in. Flip this out. I can't hear shit now. What did I do?
And killer kids. Whether these children were a product of their environment, simply born evil, or perhaps a mix of both, the thought that a young person can commit such a terrible act like murdering is truly disturbing. Let us know which case you found the most horrifying in the comments below.
Everything was scary. Everything was scary. That was scary as hell. Oh my freaking shit. What the hell? Why? And do not let them out. Why? And do not let them out. And why? Because some of them seem like they still would do it. It's like the girl who said she wants to kill again. You cannot let a girl that says she wants to kill again out. You cannot let the guy with a creepy face just smiling after he's, you know, been in prison for so long. Out of jail. Maybe some of them... I shouldn't be defending. What the frick? That was scary as hell. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. And yeah. Peace out.